Hello friends, today we are discussing onwards after the Cornwallis who came to the power in post of Governor General in India. He was Sir John Shaw. What was his name? Sir John Shaw. So now in your mind the sequence is very clear. First one was Warren Hastings. Second one was Cornwallis. Third one was Sir John Shaw. So you understand one thing. Here I am explaining the sequence of the Governor General in continuation of the topic. So in India at different time different governor generals came with different policies in their mind. So Sir John Shaw was somehow different than other governor generals. He was having rigid mentality, means not to increase more proportion of land or the area in East India Company's power. So in those days, if one king or kingdom is not trying to control others, then the king or kingdom was considered to be the weakened. So other kings in India, due to the rigid policy of Sir John Shaw, lost the fear and respect in East India Company. So in that situation, who were earlier remained silent as like Marathas, became again stronger because the fear of the East India Company was over. Okay. In that situation, Sir John Shaw was called back before the time, and in his place, Wellesley came to the power. So now you understand one thing, that in India, as the Cornwallis was powerful Governor General, Wellesley was also powerful Governor General, and he adopted policy of subsidiary alliance system to bring Indian native prince in their side. So by the subsidiary alliance system, Wellesley tried to convince all kings and princes to be a member of their policy. Wellesley introduced this system to make the East India Company supreme in India, and some specific conditions are there. Okay, now I am explaining important points of the preconditions of subsidiary alliance system. You listen very carefully. From this topic, one question comes. Okay, the first principle, the first term was, the first condition was, kings have not to keep their army because Britishers' army will save them, protect them, and will become safeguard for them. It means, here I am explaining the concept of, it means what will happen? The state will become own armyless and they will depend on East India Company's army. Okay, so the first was the safety, safeguard, and the protection of the kings in India will become East India Company's army. Second point was for maintenance of the army, the state will give specific amount of maintenance, or instead of that, if they want to give, they can give, but what? The province from their kingdom from where the equal amount of the tax could be collected to the equal to their maintenance of the army. So here what will happen? First I said the king gave not to carry army. The second, what will happen now? In that situation, the region of the kingdom will be handed over to the Britishers. So the region of kingdom will reduce, right? Okay, third point was without the permission of the East India Company, member kingdom of this scheme will not do war or will not sign any agreement or treaty with other state even though both were wanted to do. It means if the both kingdoms are ready to do the agreement, but first it is necessary to get permission from East India Company. Even for war, it was necessary to get permission from East India Company. It means the existence of the king in the kingdom was remained just for the name, and actual power was going to be in hands of Britishers, right? Okay. Now you understand one thing. There will be one English representative or officer of the East India Company will remain or will sit in state assembly of that kingdom. So in that way what will happen? Every activity of the royal court will reach to the East India Company by that representative. And last, if the kingdom want to give employment to other foreigner or European person except the British, if they want to give the job, but they cannot do because they are a member of subsidiary alliance system of East India Company. So they are bound to stick with it, and to other European community there may not be opportunity, may develop in kingdom even in existence of East India Company. Okay. Here I explained completely about the preconditions of subsidiary alliance system established by Wellesley. Now I am giving the names of those states or rulers who accepted subsidiary alliance system by willingly or forcibly. Okay, first was Nizam of Hyderabad, second Mysore, the Tipu Sultan, third one was Awadh in UP, fourth one was Gaikwad, fifth one was Scindia, sixth one was Bhosle, and seventh one was Holkar. So remember this name, these kingdoms or royal families adopted as I've told earlier, subsidiary alliance system they accepted, maybe willingly, maybe forcibly, anyhow. So, due to this subsidiary alliance system, many kingdoms happily joined them, but laterly they found that this system was like sweet poison. Now you can ask me question why? Because here the protection of the king was completely in hand of the Britishers, and king has no existence of his own army. That is the lacking. Okay, one thing more. If they are unable to pay the amount, they have to give the territory from their region. So in that way, it was also lacking for the kingdoms. So here you remember one thing, which was actually seen as the good one earlier, realized later that it was like the sweet poison for kings in India, princely states, I could say. Okay, now what happened in time of Wellesley regarding the wars? So the Wellesley asked the Tipu to join this scheme, but Tipu Sultan denied. So here earlier we have understood that the third Mysore war took place in time of Cornwallis. Now the again reason for the clash arose between Tipu Sultan and Britishers, and again at this time Nizam supported Britishers, and in 1799 the fourth Mysore war took place. So here you understand one thing, that this system was not good for anyone, and it was proved that Tipu Sultan lost the war. He lost his life also, and his region was merged with the territory of East India Company. Okay, now here the next person came was Hastings, Lord Hastings. Okay, now you understand one thing. Earlier we have discussed about Warren Hastings, who was first Governor General in India, and now we are discussing for Lord Hastings, because in respect of every Governor General the word Lord, Lord, Lord was used for respect. Okay, now you understand one thing, that Wellesley was very aggressive and expansion minded having person. Now the Hastings was also war minded having person. So he first did war with Nepal. Thereafter he brought the fighting community Gurkhas in army of Britishers, who became power of Britishers in India. Thereafter Hastings also did battle with Pindharas, the robbers on the road. They were killing the people. Also brought them under control. And last, Third Maratha War also fought in time of Wellesley. Now you try to understand which wars Wellesley fought. First I discussed about Fourth Mysore War. Thereafter, war with the Nepal. Thereafter, clashes with the Pindaras. And last, Third Maratha War was also fought in time of Hastings, right? Okay, now the next Governor General was coming, William Bentinck, right? We have already gone through. Again I am repeating the sequence. First one was Warren Hastings. Second one was Cornwallis. Third one was Sir John Shore. Fourth one was Wellesley. Fifth one was Lord Hastings. And sixth one is now coming, William Bentinck. So now you understand one thing. Up to the time of Wellesley, the India almost came under control of Britishers. But in time of William Bentinck, it became period of peace and silence in rule of East India Company in India. He was known as a liberal Governor General because he was having the mindset that may not create the situation for war, or the revolt may arise against Britisher in India. So he tried to brought the people towards him with inner willingness. When it happened, because William Bentinck took some important steps, due to that it arose, right? Okay, so here I want to explain only one thing, that William Bentinck was considered as liberal Governor General, but intention was clear, to bring people towards him by heart, not by power, and not to allow dissatisfaction within the states against British. So he followed the policy to convince Indians towards Britisher, and he was completely different mindset having from earlier Governor Generals in India, right? We have discussed up to William Bentinck, right? And the next one is Lord Dalhousie, the most important person in India. Remember this. So you understand him in continuous topic. That what he did, he tried to do control over India by his policy. That policy is known as policy of expansion, by bring the countries under their control, and this expansion was known as policy of annexation. Okay, my friends.